spotlight my video on. That's why I can't see myself. So we have our dry measuring cups. They come in a quarter, a third, a half, and a full cup. I have measuring spoons, which are a teaspoon, half teaspoon, quarter teaspoon, and a tablespoon. And we'll talk more about these later. But then I have my liquid measure. So a liquid measuring cup for liquids only. And we have a scale, which a lot of professionals use scales because they're a lot more accurate. And they come in ounces and grams. And a lot of professional baking recipes are in ounces and grams as well. So, we'll get started now. So I'm going to actually do this step first. Last time I did it a little bit different, but it doesn't matter which way you do this. But what I have here is I have flour, all-purpose flour. I have a bowl. I have my 1 cup and a spoon. So what you want to do is when you're measuring flour, we always scoop and dump into our cups. Scoop it and then add it to your cup. We don't use the cup to scoop. And then you want to make it like a mound, and then use the flat side of the spoon and flatten it off like that. So there's 1. So I'm going to do it again. Like this. Pile high. And flatten it like that. And then I need a quarter cup of flour. Like that, like so. Flatten that off. And now I have 2 1/4 cups in there. Like that. The one in the box, not baking powder, only baking soda. And then I need a teaspoon of my baking soda. And usually I'll just scoop it, and then there's a little top part where you can scrape it so that it's nice and flat.
So what happens, why you need that, and what happens if you don't use it?
If you don't use baking powder or baking soda, then you won't get any air bubbles, you won't rise. And it adds for texture too. I think it adds texture. And then I need a teaspoon of salt. Make sure you do not do a heaping teaspoon. You want to make sure you get as low as possible, flat, just so that it's not overly salty, just a little salty. Because salt really complements sugar. And now I'm mixing that together with my finger. Perfect. And now I'll take you guys over here and I'll do my over there. I know. Oh, what the heck?
Ooh, how many cubes of butter?
We need 1 cup of butter.
Which is?
So each one of these is a half cup. And it should be softened. So you can leave it out overnight to soften it, like I did, or you can use the microwave. Just don't melt it.
It's better to leave it out because a lot of them melted the butter.
Yeah, don't melt your butter at all. Not even a little bit. No. Alright. So now I have my butter in here. I'm going to need my sugar.
3/4 cup each.
Yes.
I have this with me now, Ross.
I know, you're so good. my portable recipe book. So you need 3/4 cups sugar, white sugar. There we go. And the same amount of brown sugar, 3/4 cups of.
Now I like to modify the recipe with a half a cup of white sugar and a cup of brown sugar because I like my cookies more brown sugary.
Ooh. I did not know that that's what you did. Yeah, you can only modify it however your taste is.
That one's just way too hard. Do you have a 3/4 cup?
Hmm?
Do you have a 3/4 cup?
No, I just have 1/4 that I do 3 times.
So they probably never packed brown sugar before.
So, have your brown sugar, push it down. This is the only ingredient that you really want to be packed into your measuring cup, and you want it to come out in a whole shape of the cup. But it's like the opposite of flour. Like with flour, you want it completely unpacked. Brown sugar, you want it packed. And this works good if it's soft. This is just too hard. There we go. It's very messy over here. So that's what it looks like. And then I'm going to be using this, which is a blender for my mixer. And then we also have dough hook and a whisk attachment for a mixer. This is the one I'm going to use. There we go. And so you're going to turn it on.
It's called creaming, right?
Creaming method, yes. So you want it kind of high so that you can get a lot of air in it.
Butter and sugar, what could be wrong with that?
And then I'm going to use a spatula and scrape down the sides. Get in there. Make sure you scrape off your spatula before you continue. So keep creaming until they're well combined and they're light. It'll become a lot lighter. Okay. And I'm going to scrape down again. More time. Nice and good. So I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Mix that in. Perfect. Then we're going to add in 2 eggs. And you're going to add these in one at a time. Mixing in between additions. No shells, no shells. There we go. And you're going to mix it until it's all combined. And then scrape it again. There's a lot of scraping in between steps. Just to make sure everything gets mixed completely. Add your other egg. Actually keep it down. Mix it in. And as soon as we add our flour in, We do not want to mix it mix it just a little bit to combine it. Because as you're mixing it, you're creating gluten. And we do want a little bit of gluten to keep our recipe together, but we don't want a tough cookie. So I'm going to add in 1/3 of my flour. Flour mixture, I should say.
Why don't you add it all at once?
It's just better for the mixing process to add in separate. And you just barely want to mix it. And then we take it down and we scrape it. Just to make sure everything's getting combined. Perfect. Oh, leave it down. And then I'll add another 1/3. Well, careful to put it on low so it doesn't go everywhere. When you're adding anything dry like flour, you want to make sure that it's on low and that it doesn't splatter everywhere. Scrape it down. Add our last bit of the mixture. Add that all in. Make sure it's on low. And then we just mix it. And it will form a dough consistency. You want to stop it as soon as it comes together. And then we're going to scrape it again. This is very sticky dough, so it loves to stick on everything. All that butter in there, stick into everything. And don't be afraid to stick your finger on the spatula and get it all off. Okay. And for chocolate chips,
A big giant box.
I have this big giant box. And I'm gonna measure this by however I feel it is the correct amount. Oh, be careful not to.
So usually you would just use one of the bags, the smaller
Yeah,
bags.
one
from
of
the
the
store.
smaller bags.
I think it's 12 ounces.
So I think that's good. And in the recipe, it's 2 cups. I would say that's about 2 cups.
Yeah.
If you want more, add more, but too many, some people don't like too many. I don't think there's such thing as too many, but some people, you know, they're strange. So that's what our dough looks like. So you want to not mix it anymore after you add the chocolate chips, because we don't want to crush up those chocolate chips. So we can add it over here. So you can do some spatula. Just using my fingers to get in between, because it can be hard to get to with the spatula. And we're in a kitchen. We love getting messy and get our hands in there. Don't be afraid. And so what I like to do is I like to just scrape it together into kind of a blob shape, like that. And then we'll have a sheet pan. Let me get my one that I already used so we don't have to walk me. Yeah. So now we have a bunch of options. So if you want kind of smaller cookies, you can go with something like this. Or if you have a bigger scoop, we can do bigger scoops. And then we have our sheet tray. And you can put down butter, you can put Crisco, you can spray it, you can put parchment paper down. whatever is good for you, it's good for me. So I'm just gonna use a spray, give it a quick spray down. And then take my scoop and go in here, get a nice little scoop of it, place that down. That was a little bit small. If they're a little small, add a little bit more, it's okay. And your dough should be like very soft, but also standard shape. So if you melted the butter, this is not going to come out the same. So try not to do that. But everybody's done it before, so. And then a trick that I learned from Chef is to take some chocolate chips on our cookies that we already put on the tray and just poke them in the top. So I put like 5-ish on top and just poke them around wherever you see empty spaces. I'll put a bunch on that one, we'll see how that looks. Just pop them on the top. And this is a way that they make like really pretty commercially style cookies. Because then you can actually see your chocolate chips on the top, instead of them being hidden by the dough. Careful if your hands are really warm, like mine, you might melt your chocolate in your hand. But there we go. And then I'm gonna throw these in the oven for 9 to 11 minutes. And you wanna start on 9, and then if they're not done still, then go to 11. But usually they're done, and then you wanna take them out, and if they're still a little bit soft, you can just let them cool, and they will harden up on you. No need to cook them extra just because. So, I'll throw these in the oven. Now this oven's at 325 because last time they were a little bit hot at 375. So now I'll put that up for 9 minutes and we wait.
Oh, they're flatter than last period.
Yeah, because I turned the oven heat down, so they didn't harden. What happens is the outside hardens really quickly when the oven's too hot, before they have a chance to melt and spread out. So when you have a lower temperature oven, they can spread and then harden, and it makes them a lot bigger and nicer than these little chunker cookies. And I got some pomegranate on my phone too. It's alright though, I cleaned it off. So yeah, like I said before, these are really soft right out of the oven, but you don't want to panic and throw them back in just because they're a little soft. You just let them cool on their own, and they'll pop off, they'll harden, they'll pop off the pan, and then we can move them to the cooling rack. Because if you try and move them while they're hot, they might break on you. These ones were small, so they were easy. But this one, yeah, I can move it, but I don't want to break it. Yeah.